Hi everyone, welcome to Coffee with the Cannons. We wanted to give you an update on where we are with our project journeys.
So we're pretty excited. It's been an eventful 2 or 3 weeks since the last time we did a check-in, maybe even a month. Yeah, it's been pretty quick. So we have interviewed now two of our guests for the documentary. The documentary is officially called "This Is Not a Draft." We're putting it together. Super excited. We've got a trailer that we're working on right now, so people can kind of see what it's about. And we've had two interviews. So really great. We got the crew all together. Jenny's been helping us out.
Yeah, I've been trying to build networks with female veterans. We're trying to make spaces that feel safe and comfortable for people to be able to talk about their stories. And I appreciate being a part of it. I got to meet the crew filming a couple weeks ago, so that was fun. And I gotta say, as somebody outside of the project, I think that really blew my mind to go from an idea that you've had and then all of a sudden, and really this community that you found through ASU, you were in a film class, and that led to all of these different relationships and community building. And this entire crew shows up to film, and it's crazy to me how something can go from an idea, and then you have people who believe in that same vision and goal of yours, and then you're all of a sudden working towards this beautiful end together. So that was pretty incredible to see that come together.
Yeah, really excited. We've got a great crew being put together. We're working with Death Denied Productions, Andrew Baker, and he's bringing in a bunch of guys, and
Marcus,
we're just doing so much
Eric.
good work. Yeah, really excited. So we've got our editor on board now as of this week. That was an update. So we're going to start cutting things together and getting the project going.
And you've been working on your storyboard, which was another tool that I wasn't aware of. You want to talk a little bit about that's new for me as somebody not in the film industry.
Yeah, so we're using Milanote, which is a really cool program, basically Kanban style, but comes with so many pre-filled things and just gives you a lot of templates and places to go. You can color coordinate. We're using like the 8 steps of a story, so using that to build the structure of the documentary, and just really excited about it.
I'm not as far along, but that's okay. I've been able to participate in your, and so I feel like some of these are, intertwined journeys, right? And they inform each other. So I've been a little bit busy helping to support Jack. So the ways that I've been approaching the writing process, so I'm a big journaler. Although we decided I don't really journal, we used a different name, curator. I curate content.
Yeah, I feel like you collect and curate concepts and ideas.
Yeah, I like that. I collect ideas. So you know how some people collect, I guess, rocks or stamps, or you're right, I collect ideas. That's a cool way of looking at it. So I do a lot of journaling. This is one of, 10.
So many journals.
You can see they're full, and usually they're wet. They've usually taken some kind of water damage. This was a really special one. So right after our son had died, the military actually had encouraged us to start, because it was not a natural death. We had a lot of police involved and a lot of courts, and so we had, I don't know what that was called, but one of your sergeants started some kind of activity log.
They had a daily log. They had to have a log.
Of all our movements, of everything. So anyway, I just sort of continued on with that in various capacities. But so this is the first, I think, 2 years after our son passed. You printed it and got it bound for me. And so I've just been spending some time trying to remember who that Jenny was, because I'm trying to be true to her voice and true to her story. And parts of me don't remember who she was. I remember obviously parts of our story, but I don't exactly remember who she was. And I think that's an interesting part too about writing a story, right? Because A, none of us are reliable narrators. And two, this idea that I've been focused on, this continuity of future self. So this is Jenny of 24 writing about a story from 14, and I'm trying to figure out whose voice I'm. So I guess I'm just getting to know her again, and so that's been, I'm trying to use the right word. Difficult isn't the right word. It's challenging to revisit the things that she had to go through. And so it's just taking me a little bit longer, but I think it's important to re-immerse myself in that world, because I'm trying to be authentic to what we're trying to say. So that's where I am. I probably don't need to look up, I hadn't thought about it. I'm sure there's writing templates, I guess, for how to tell stories. So I should look into that. If you all know of any of that, one of the interviewees we had a couple weeks ago is a writer, and she's much more perfecting in her craft. And so I realize that there's a lot of things I still need to learn, and so I'm open to that too. So
So what I referenced was Dan Harmon's Steps of the Story, and so that's like an eight-step phase that your protagonist goes through.
The hero's
And
journey?
it's similar to the hero's journey. It branches out a little bit more than the hero's journey, but that's by Dan Harmon. You can look it up. It's pretty interesting. We're going to be adapting parts of it. I don't know how well it works for a documentary because we have multiple subjects, we have multiple protagonists, but I think it's a good place to start.
Yeah, and actually really quickly, since this is just sort of a like data dump, right? We're vlogging. Is that what they call it? We're still vlogging?
We're still vlogging.
Like 2009 around here.
Coffee with the cans.
Bringing new people in, right? So it's not just a one-person show, right? And you have other people who have honed their craft in different parts of media and film production. And that brings another layer of intricacy and complexity to how you tell a story. And so something I've been hearing you'll meet with these other folks like, oh, we thought about this and we thought about that. And I think something that I've learned as a leader, right, is that you always are supposed to be open to new ideas. You're always supposed to be aware of what I don't even know what I don't know. But then when I hear you talk about some of the storylines that other people are exploring, I think those are good conversations, but they can also be scary because you're trying to make sure everybody who's in the documentary, the crew has a voice. But then I think you constantly have to ask, what's the goal? What's my goal? So I feel like you and I have got to have some good chats about, why you wouldn't want to include, we talked a little bit about like, should we interview folks who had been drafted? And we worked through like, yeah, that is a cool story angle, but it's not this story. So I like that part of this journey too, like figuring out, I think you constantly have to reimagine your why to make sure you stay on target with your storytelling.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, June 14th, Congress put up a bill talking about the draft and ways to automate registration, which, so they're not saying the draft is here, but they are saying like, we're going to just make it automatic, right? And this is something that's in discussion. It hasn't passed yet. It's not real, but it's got the potential. And it was one of those things where it kind of just like stuck out to us. We'd been looking at This Is Not a Draft as the title, and at that point it just felt so like, oh, chills. Like, yes, okay, this is the direction we're going to go. We're going to talk about it because, the people who served during the Global War on Terror timeframe, none of them were drafted. Everyone was volunteer. So we're gonna talk about the difference there, and
even that has complexity because I think especially in Western cultures, we have a fierce sense of individualism and a fierce sense of autonomy. And also though, when you start to hear your interviewees talk about their choices are informed by something, by a desire to serve their families, their community, pressure to serve their families and communities, and so I think that becomes complex too when you talk about what does it mean to volunteer for something and how many of us are threaded with other people and some of our fates are sort of predestined because this is the journey I've been on. You have a family history, a legacy of serving, or like in the one beautiful story we heard where she was serving in honor of someone else who didn't get the chance to serve. So to me, there's a lot to explore and unpack. Is it really our choice? Like, what does choice mean, right? And so I think that and that's the exciting part too. You get to see some of these through threads that emerge as you're telling the story, right? Because you're crafting it and having power over what the story's going to look like. But then sometimes these stories just tell themselves, and you've got to honor what you're hearing.
Absolutely, right? I come in with one vision and a thought process that I want to pursue. But as we start to meet these people, as we start to talk to them and get their stories, it's not exactly what we were expecting. And so it is very interesting to see how that road goes and how we can navigate it.
So I think going forward, so I don't think I've been a great thought partner to you. I'm a little bit distracting him at night. So something I think we should hold ourselves accountable for, or a goal that we should have in the next couple of weeks, is and we've also been enjoying summertime with our kids. Our kids are on summer break right now. We did our annual family trip to Six Flags. We've had birthdays and the 4th of July and graduations and the like. So enjoying family time. But we don't have a process yet for really devoted time. I kind of grab time here or there when it's convenient. And so, and again, I'm a distracting partner at night. I just want to cuddle up on the couch and he's trying to work on his storyboard. So I do think that that's something that we can explore that might help us, where I'm going to do this for an hour or 2 hours and I'm not going to be interrupted. So I think that's a call to action for myself at least.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, I've been trying to do my storyboarding, but I think I've been distracting you also. So we got to get you, we got to get you working on your stuff. It's pretty exciting. I did want to kind of follow up on something that you said earlier. She was talking about the log and what this came from. And I just want to really highlight that I was in the Army Reserves when all of this went down. And my unit just went above and beyond. So they talk about this log. Well, why was there a log? There was a log because basically I was put on a suicide watch, and I got 2 NCOs who turned out to be really, really great friends and just really awesome guys who became a big part of our family during that time frame. So Kyle Horner and Jay, like you guys, Jonathan Moreno, we call him Jay, really appreciate the work that they did. Like they were on us. I mean, like we had a guard essentially just being around outside our door, helping us out, smoothing over all the problems that existed. And I just want to say, like, that was something that didn't have to be done, and they did it. And it wasn't convenient for either of them. No, they didn't live anywhere near us.
And it's so funny you bring that up. I had forgotten some of the details. They were jump starting our car. They bought a new car seat for Lilo. They were getting the house ready. We had DCS inspections because of the nature of Ian's death. They were finding pediatricians for Lilo. They were, putting up new doors for the kids and safety measures. They were helping us file
child-proof the house,
orders of protection. They were going to court with us. So I had forgotten the level of care they had given us besides the suicide watch stuff.
Yeah, they were officially assigned to us, but that watch didn't stop when that time ran out. I mean, those guys were still coming around helping us out and being a part of our families, and just like that was a huge deal.
So thank you both very much.
And that's an example of something that I want like our veteran community to see and to do and to feel inspired to do. It's one of the things we're sitting here talking about, because that's a moment where everything went right? Like we had this terrible, horrific thing happen to us, and our community supported us, and that's the thing. She keeps saying we want to pay it forward.
I was gonna say.
I know you're gonna say we're gonna pay it forward, but like
I knew that people at the time, right? So I didn't need all this hindsight to know what was happening. I knew at the time what people were doing, but it also feels overwhelming because there's so much that people are doing for you, and you're trying to keep your head above water, and you're trying to take care of yourself. And I was trying to step up as a military spouse and take care of our other kids, keep a job. And I know that I couldn't do it all on my own. And so, and obviously you can't do the same things. That's not paying it forward, right? Is about like, okay, we're well enough now. That's why we're
help
here.
In the ways that we can.
Yeah, and help in the ways that we can, and help in the ways that we're strong in. And so I appreciate that you're doing this. And yeah, you're right. I was going to say pay it forward.
She likes to say it that way. And I don't always think it's the best way to communicate it, but it's absolutely what we're trying to do. Like we want to try to help other people. My motive is
good karma and putting good things
karma, whatever you want to call it, like positive will. And then also just like, helping other people out. If we can tell people's story, which is the whole point of my endeavor, right? Which is this is not a draft. The whole point is to tell the people's story. Tell what people who were serving during that time went through. What was their motivation? What was the cost? And then what's the reward? How has their life changed? Like
last week or 2 weeks ago, Jack allowed me to do one of the interviews. It was a female soldier and Marine, and I was also friends with her, so we thought that would be appropriate for me to conduct the interview. And Jack and I he had prepared the questions ahead of time, and I had looked at him, and I'm decent at this. There's a lot of things I do at ASU surrounding intentional interviewing, motivational interviewing, appreciative inquiry, so I'm comfortable with question asking, and I'm pretty good too at adapting. So someone will respond in a certain way, and then the next question doesn't flow right, so you have to change. So I think I was doing well at that, but at the end, we were getting ready to wrap up, and Cheryl's daughter was standing behind us, and it occurred to me to ask the question, which I think is another gift we're trying to give for those folks that are actually being interviewed for the documentary. What is the legacy you want your daughter to hear about you? She's standing right here watching you be interviewed. And so just making sure that people feel like they're being seen and heard in a way that gets their families to know about them too, maybe in ways they hadn't been able to before. So I just think that there's a lot of beauty in what you're doing, and I hope that it's a beautiful ripple effect, all of this.
I really hope so. I mean, we want it to be a gift to the community. We want it to be a gift to the people who are interviewed and their families.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, you know, that's the one thing I always kind of mention. My grandfather was in World War II and did a lot of good things, right? Like a lot of other people did. And I didn't take that time to ask him his story. So I don't know what his story was. And I'm fortunate I've got other family members who spent a little more time asking those questions, so we'll be able to look at that and find out. But, you know, I think this is a great way to deliver it, right? Record it, put it on audio and video so that people can look at it and it can live past them.
Yeah, so whether 1 million people see it, 10,000, or just the family members, I think in that sense you've served your goal, and I think that that's beautiful. So.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks so much for watching Coffee with the Cannons. We'll be back with more in a couple of weeks. We like to do these, you know, a couple weeks apart, so we
like
have
to
updates.
Have done something to tell you.
We like to have done something. What's
sure.
coming up next? Like next, I'm going to be going to DC, do a little location scouting for when we go out there. Excited to talk to some veterans in DC and take a look at the National Mall, all of that kind of stuff.
So fun. I've been working on quirky AI images for my book cover, but I'll start writing. So.
You know, that's one of those things where it's like, look, if you're a creator, if you're somebody who's in these spaces, don't be afraid of AI. Like, she's using Dolly, I'm using Midjourney. We're using it. For me, I'm using it for what's called previs, which helps me like visualize the scenes that I want to create.
I'm using it for procrastinating, so.
She uses it to generate images to convey points that she's trying to accomplish, and uses it for work a lot. So AI is, you know, don't be afraid of it. There's a lot of cool tools out there. Make sure to, you know, make your job easier, make it better, and yeah, it's good stuff.
All right, but I mean, we'll see you in a couple weeks. Thanks for tuning in.
Yep, take care.
Bye.